Drink it in, man.
Deep left side carry on. Picks up a block at the 5, at the 2, at the 1 to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Drink it in, man.
Get up, Stafford throws. It is end zone. Caught! Oh, baby, what a catch! Kenny Galladay, you're a freak! What a catch! Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Cornbread!
I love the Lions! Say it with me! I love the Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy Okri. It is Friday morning, and we are dropping another podcast for you. Grifka, it's Friday. I know what you usually say. What do you got for the people? How you feeling? What are we talking Lions this week?
Oh, man. Feeling good, man. And just, like trying to wake up from watching basketball all yesterday.
This is where you always say TGIF, Grifka. That's your gimmick.
So I'm trying to break that gimmick. So it doesn't show up in next year's bracket.
Oh, man, we had some fun on the Wednesday show and talked a lot Lions. So if you didn't check that out, please go back and give it a listen. Grifka, you got news and notes. Tell me what you're thinking. Our Detroit Lions heading to the draft. Still got some free agent money. What the heck's going on?
Going back and listening to the podcast from Wednesday, and we were talking about the free agent signings. And one question I wanted to ask you was it Coleman said that, preparing for the Lions when they played them last year was tough. It was one of the tougher games to prepare for. I know during the year we had talked about, it seemed like the Lions offense got real stagnant, very easy to predict. So do you think Coleman was just kind of like, you think that was just talk, kind of like, yeah, this is a good team. They got a good offense. They were tough to prepare for. Or do you think he was just trying to it's just kind of rhetoric to say that?
Oh, man. Funniest thing, these things, I think really bug you, Grifka, or make your mind turn. And I, don't think about them at all. To me, he just, he's a new guy on the team. They're going to ask him, how was it going against the Lions? I mean, what is he going to say? Of course, he's going to say, they were tough, this, that, and the other. I mean, just trying to make a good impression. I don't take too much away from it. I think that he's happy he's here. He's happy he got paid. He's happy he's with some people he knows. And hopefully he's happy that he can help us start to win more ball games, because that's what they paid him for. It's what they brought him here for. And that's what we as fans are all hoping that he can do, is come play some great defense, play a great corner position, which we know we need, and ball out now. So I'm not too worried about what he said or what happened in the past.
Yeah. But still, wouldn't it be funny if a guy showed up and goes, "No, this team was terrible last year. They were easy, but I got paid. That's why I came here."
Right.
That'd be great. Also, once again, it's that time of year when teams have their pro days, and generally with these pro days, teams also will schedule interviews with teams after they do their workouts. And read that Rashawn Gary and Karan Higdon, after the Michigan pro day, had interviews lined up with the Lions. Do you like these interviews? I know probably the Gary one is he's obviously first round talent. If they fall to him, it's definitely an option for the team. But Karan Higdon as well, a little bigger back, got some decent speed. But you like these interviews? A couple guys that you wouldn't mind having on the team?
Oh, man, I'm totally split sort of in my brain about Rashawn Gary. A lot of me says there's just so many little things about him that, doesn't scream NFL player. But, every Saturday when I watched him get off the football for Michigan, he is always blowing off the edge, getting, the Grifka almost sack on the quarterback, pushing the pocket. He looks the part, for when he's in the jersey, that type of thing. I almost did a gimmick on last show. Hey, I'm a top 5 pick, right? Signed, Rashawn Gary's mom. You know, like I feel like that's just going to be a problem with him sort of being a mama's boy and him like not being very mentally tough. I don't think so. I mean, if they take him, I wouldn't hate it because of the talent, but there's just a lot of things that make me second guess it. Karan Higdon to me is a player that you just have to love in the later rounds. Like when I've been doing all these mock drafts again, hate to bang on you, Grifka, but I'm over there putting in the work, doing mocks, reading up. I mean, Karan Higdon's a guy that you can wait on. This draft is a draft where there's lots of running backs. It's almost like the more you can hold your water and wait, the better value you're going to get in probably the 4th, 5th, 6th round in this draft. So, man, if they could pull Karan Higdon that late, I think that's where his value would be tremendous. You go and get him too high, I think he's kind of just a meat and potatoes type running back that would complement Carry-On, but you can't be taking him in the 2nd or 3rd based on what he's done through the draft process. So that's kind of my general thoughts.
Yeah, the like you said, Higdon, late round pick, it'd be a nice value. You don't want it. I think he's one of those guys that you obviously don't want to reach for, but I think there's other running backs in this draft similar to him. So if it's one of those things where like, oh, you have a penciled in here, but you like another position a little better, a different player at wherever you plan on drafting him in 4th, 5th, or whatever, and then it's like, okay, we can let him slide because we can get this running back. I would be okay with that. It's not a guy I'm sitting there like targeting. It's like, gosh, I really hope the Lions get him. I mean, he was productive at Michigan. I think he I don't know if he would be as productive, the workhorse that he was at Michigan in the pros, but a backup running back, he'd be a fine fit for the team. Rashawn Gary, I see your point on that. I love that fit for his side, Rashawn Gary's mom. That is pretty funny. But yeah, I think the Gary interview, I mean, it's obviously one of those things. It's just he's penciled in as 1st-round talent. He's going to be one of those guys that pretty much interviews with like almost every team. And if you're in the top 10, top 15, you should be interviewing him simply because he's penciled in there, and you want to see if the goods are there with this guy. I mean, yeah, you have his tape, you have him at his pro day, you have him at the combine, but sit down and talk to him, see if it's somebody you like. So, yeah, I think the Gary one is just that he's there. We're here here in Ann Arbor. We'll schedule something with him and talk to him. So, that's how I feel about those two interviews right there. Let's see. I really didn't have anything else to discuss going in before hitting the main stuff I want to chat about. Anything else you want to touch base with?
I think we're overall good. I mean, the people know we've been doing these shows for a while that sometimes we're recording, and then things may have happened since. But like you say, the Lions came out big. They've kind of been sitting on something. Who knows once this recording's out if they've done anything big. You heard about my big trade. I really hope that a big trade happens because I feel like they made such a big punch at the beginning, and then it was, slow like it normally is. But usually it's slow because, like, you don't have any money, or 2, there's not players out there that can help you. Like, I think there's still, players out there that could help this team. And you didn't really give your take, Grifka. Like, if you had to put a 1 out of 10 on a scale of 1 out of 10, what do you think the chances are that Bobby Quinn pulls out the big whooping stick and makes a big trade for a player that can come right in, can start Pro Bowl caliber, and can maybe really put us up over the top? Because I think our defense is heading in the right direction, but one more piece, whether it be a dynamic linebacker or corner, and then maybe a draft piece, could really put us, in that top 5 discussion where most people don't think of us that way. Where are you at with that?
I would give that probably about a 7. I think it's going to be closer to the draft when that happens, though I don't know if it's going to happen here like in the near future within the next week or 2. That might happen actually right before the draft or during the draft. If something doesn't fall the way that they like, and they're like, okay, we're going to try to pull this trade, they might be obviously sending out feelers and getting some stuff lined up that way just in case. But I think if something like that was going to happen, I think it would fall closer to the draft. And right now, I'd probably give that a 7. If they're going to look around and see who else signs where, they get a feeling how strong the other teams are in the division. So I saw recently this week Minnesota, I think, overpaid for an offensive lineman, to try to improve their offensive line. We had talked about how crappy their offensive line has been in the past, but I don't think the Lions are leaps and bounds worse than the other teams in this division. And if they feel it's like if we get this one player, we through the draft and put us over the top, they may make that trade. And right now, I'd say it's about a 7.
Yeah, I really hope it would happen around the draft. And my thing is, like, you can keep 7, 10 million. Most GMs don't do it. Most of them really are always looking to spend sort of right up to the threshold. But Bob Quinn has always kept a little bit, and everybody says we'll keep stuff for drafts. I think that's sort of like, just on a business budget, you already have that sort of figured in. So to me, they're never really saving for that. That's already been factored in through their numbers. But yeah, I'm real curious. I mean, I don't see any other reason why you do it, and it feels like not only is this a go year where they need to get the team turned around based on last year, but Bob Quinn knows, hey, man, I got to get my coach some players so that he can put up W's, and everybody knows, that isn't a huge Bob Quinn fan, that he needs a big year too. I mean, we've always supported him here on the show, and overall feel like he's done better than good when it comes to drafting and bringing in players here and there, but needs W's and needs wins. So I think that's just something, again, to keep. We've talked about it a couple times now, but we just keep bringing it up so that people can keep an eye out, because don't be surprised. I mean, we've only got a month to the draft. If something happens either before or, as you said, leading right up to it, that will wheel and deal, or, like I say, don't need much on. But if we can do something too on defense, to me that just opens you up a ton to take a tight end, take explosive players in the draft to help your quarterback and to build the offense. Because if you built the defense in free agency and with what you already had, why not go big in the draft with there's lots of good receivers, running backs, and tight ends, even though people act like this isn't a top-end draft. It is pretty good across the board with this type of skill positions the Lions need. So I think I just wanted to bring that up again and make people really think about what could they be doing behind the scenes to work something out, and it's exciting to see. So that's really all I had. I mean, how about we take a quick pause for the cause and head to our sponsors, and then we'll be right back with the rest of the Detroit Koolaid Cast. We'll be right back, everybody. All right, everybody, we're back. So Grifka, I'm handing the ball off to you. Take the lead here. What are we talking about this week?
Well, I mean, your favorite thing, going into the draft, and I know we've debated, the early rounds of this draft. I was going through thinking about, I've given my take before, how I like later in the draft, kind of getting those skill position guys that maybe kind of like a long shot, something like that. Kind of like underwhelming guy, but has like some skills that may translate to the pros. Maybe taking a flyer on those guys. So I was going to throw a few names out here at you and kind of get your take on them. I'm looking at guys right now, what I'm seeing, like guys that are projected maybe like, 4th round or later, something like that is what I'm talking later in the draft. So and then let's see here. I just want to get your feeling on a few guys that I'm seeing names that they're names that have been out there. People know these guys. Maybe they watch college football. They were big names on their teams, or coming out of high school, they were big time recruits. And they just maybe didn't produce in college like you might have thought they would have been where they were recruited at. But once again, my first position I wanted to kind of talk about was cornerback. And the first name I wanted to throw you at was Iman Marshall out of Southern Cal, actually. I remember this guy was like a 4 or 5-star prospect out of Cal Poly. He was a big-time recruit. He had a couple good first years, freshman, sophomore at USC. I believe he had 3 picks each year. And then his junior and senior years, he was really hit or miss. But, this guy right now, he's about, I think he's like right around, 6'1", like 200 pounds. Let's see, I think his 40 time was he's like a 4.5 in the 40. I just remember him being a big name. What do you think about this guy?
Well, I mean, I like the position. I think, he's a name that I would see probably in that 4th round or later. USC guys, are pretty hit and miss. I don't know that you see many USC guys come to the NFC North and really play that well at that type of position. Just kind of a different brand of football, different climate, all that type of stuff. I mean, my sweet spot, we've talked about it before, we've joked about it before. Second, third round, top of the second round, Warrior from Penn State. He's a press corner. He's long. He really gets after you. And then, again, your boy Rock Ya-Sin in the third, Grifka. That's what I'm hoping for. I saw something online where somebody said, is it just me or does Rock Ya-Sin look like he's 45 years old? So
yeah, he does have a little bit of that Benjamin Button work in there.
So, I mean, I think those are good targets. And then, like I say, depending if they don't go out and do anything, I think corner's a big priority, but I don't know that Marshall is on kind of my top 5-ish list of targets when it comes to second to fourth round type guys.
It's just I liked him. I mean, talking about the quote that we used in a prior show about like when they were asked about Greedy Williams, and the Lions scout said we like our cornerbacks to tackle. I mean, Ahmad Marshall, even at USC, he was physical. He liked to come up and he liked to come up and tackle, but sometimes he would take some bad angles and maybe had some bad technique. I mean, he wasn't afraid to try to stick his nose in there, but he would miss a tackle every once in a while. He'd put his head down and not look where he's going. So I mean, that might be something that would have to be taught. But he always he was always pretty fluid with his hips, and he just like I said. We had his freshman to sophomore years. I think he had 6 picks combined, and then, after that he was pretty inconsistent. But just somebody I remember him. Him getting recruited and going out to USC, and he was decent early, and then he was kind of like there. He was one of the key contributors on the team, but he didn't turn out to what we thought he'd be.
Mm-hmm.
Another name I want to bring at you is another guy similar to Iman Marshall. I'm seeing penciled in the 4th round right now, and that's Jamal Peters, the quarterback out of Mississippi State. Once again, this guy's another big, rangy guy. He's 6'2", 220, a little slower in the 40s, about 4'6", a little over 4'6". But he's another one. He's physical. He likes to tackle, and he's actually better at it than Iman Marshall. But what I've seen on this guy, what I've read, that he has trouble, at the line. He wants to be physical, but he can be beat off the line, which isn't good. And with his speed being at 4'6", he doesn't have really good closing speed. But I don't know. Like, I like the physicality of him. I mean, that's kind of what it's like I said, later round flyer on this guy. Would you have any interest in this guy, or how would you feel if they landed him like in the 4th or 5th round? If your boys,
Nope.
You just mentioned.
Nope. 4'6". I mean, AKA Tease Tabor version 2. I mean, I don't care how physical. We saw how that worked out. We thought, he could get away with instincts. He thought he could get away with, being a bit of a press guy. No, you got to have pretty decent speed and length to play in the Lions type scheme. So anything 4'6", 4'6'5" or higher, no thank you. So had to pass on him. I kind of know what you're saying with the measurables and whatnot, but yeah, no thank you. We already got a 4'7" corner that we don't know what to do with.
Okay. Yeah, I like your take on that. Let's do this. I know we're always wondering what to do with Theo Riddick. What about this guy? This guy really fell off, and it's Bryce Love out of Stanford. I mean, he's a little smaller, 5'10", 200 pounds. The guy's got speed though. He's got 4.4 speed. He's got some pretty quick feet. He's smart. He's elusive. He's another one of those running backs that can catch the ball. The biggest thing I really got to worry about is he's been kind of an injury concern. I mean, he really fell off. I remember it was a couple years ago. This guy was supposed to be Heisman talk. Top 2 or 3 guys in the Heisman, even going into last year. But, he's been kind of hit with the injury bug the last couple of years. What would you think if the Lions, made a run at Bryce Love later, say round 5, something like that?
I mean, I like the big names. He had a huge year, but I've done some read up on this guy. This is a guy that the Big Hughes likes to take in a lot of mock drafts in the late 5th, 6th round. Again, he knows the name. He obviously produced. I've read up on him, and it seems like, he doesn't seem to have the stature and the inside running that'll get it done in the NFL. When you're getting him in the 5th, 6th round, it's sort of like, well, why not take a flyer on the guy? Well, the reason you don't is because, like, in the 5th or 6th round, I'm looking at guys, like I said, like James Williams, Anderson, this guy out of North Dakota State who's sort of like a banger, like a good complement or a clone of carry-on type size, speed, likes to run away from you but not afraid to bang you. I mean, you've got other like shifty backs in that range as well. So again, Southern California type of guy, NFC North, kind of been hurt, coming off of ACL. I love the name. I love some of the electricity it brings, but I probably just pass, just going for more grit, more meat and potatoes when it comes to, that running back. And again, we're still sort of waiting to see if we get Malcolm Brown. If we do, I mean, it really pushes running back down to where you're looking for just an electric scat back, maybe like a Justice Hill, or you're looking for a guy that can catch the football, depending on what you do with Theo. So, you could take a flyer on Bryce Love, but if I'm the GM, I think I'd pass and go with other guys that have, skill sets we'd be looking for that maybe are a little more durable.
Okay. Well, I guess that brings me to the next question, because I found another guy that's pretty similar to Bryce Love, and that's Myles Gaskin out of Washington. I mean, he's about 5'10", 190. He's a little slower. He runs about a 4.5, a little over 4.5. But he's got good feet, got good vision, but he doesn't catch the ball as well. I mean, he's kind of hit or miss with catching the ball in the backfield. But he went to Washington, so it's at Northern School. I know. I just heard your takes on guys from like Southern Cal and California guys. Would this be kind of like a similar read then as Bryce Love, Myles Gaskin, if say they got him 4th, 5th, 6th round?
I like Myles Gaskin. He really produced. I think he was supposed to sort of come out last year, and then he stayed an extra year. I only got to see him a few times because, again, if it's not Michigan football, I'm not watching too many West Coast random games, unless it's the, bowl time or some of those big games or big matchups, stuff like that. But the couple times I did see him, I thought he was that third downish type back you look for. He can tote the rock. He's smaller and shifty, but he can also carry the load a little bit. And I don't know. I like this guy. He not only produced, but when I saw him, I just thought, man, this guy wants the football, and he can do lots of things. You're not going to have to spend a high resource to get him some of those middle rounds. Look for a guy like that. I wouldn't mind it. He's kind of on my radar. It kind of just depends who else is there and what flavor I'm looking for at that point.
Okay. Yeah, he's another guy. If like the Lions got him, I wouldn't be hurt. I would like to pick, but once again, you don't want to reach for the guy. I mean, I'm looking at this guy maybe 5th round, somewhere around there. I would be happy with. Let's move out to a position that may not be as much of a need now with like the recent signing of Lewis and how they got Amendola. But you brought this guy up before, and after you mentioned him, I went and kind of looked him up and looked at a few of his things, and that was Andy Isabella out of UMass. I mean, you mentioned him. He's only 5'10", 190. I know at the combine, his first readings were like somewhere like 4.4, 4.5, but then said, no, there's a glitch. It's more like, 4.2, 4.3, and I guess that's, not really confirmed, but he's a guy, he's got really sticky fingers. He's that jitterbug. He'd be that slot guy. He runs really good routes. I mean, I know you kind of get on me for that, but, he's got quick feet, helps him do that. But the issue with him is I think he's going to be primarily that slot receiver. And with the guys who they signed with, maybe Powell already being on the team, that would be that fit. I don't know if he would be that much of a need. But, even with the size, his catch radius isn't as large as other people. But still, I mean, like you said, you can't teach speed, 4.2, 4.3, if that's true. And him with that little jitterbug technique. I mean, if the Lions drafted him, I would definitely give the guy a shot, even with what they got. I mean, I know you liked this guy before. Has anything changed with this guy after seeing him at the combine, or are you still like him?
I like Isabel a lot. I think when it came to the Senior Bowl, he got a lot of hype, and then when he actually was out there in practice, he kind of got beat up he had a few drops. He kind of was taking too long to get off the football with some of his moves. This guy he's got speed, man. Like, you look at him, and again, I think even in a previous show, I threw out, he's a slot. I probably even said like a Wes Welker type, but that was a slip up on me, because that's kind of what you just think of when you see him. But when you really read up on him and know what he is, he's a former track star. He is in that 4.3, 4.4 range. I think what happened in the combine was like his first reading was something like 4.5, and it was like, no way. I remember even writing it down on our sheet that we were keeping, and I was like, there's no way. And then later it came out that it was more in that range you expected this guy to run. So he's got that going for him. The other thing that I love about this kid is the things I read about him is he's like gritty, he's cocky, he's got some of that juice that you look for off the field or just on the field of, yeah, he might not be the biggest guy, but he's not afraid to stick his nose in there. He's got a little mojo to him, which I think this team needs. So he's definitely on my radar. And then when you said, have I cooled on him? The reason I haven't is, like, I think, yeah, you still want to get a good value. How long can you wait on a guy like this? Can he get in the third round? Would you have to spend your second if you really want him? I think it's really important because, you don't sign Danny Amendola at 33, 34 and think, oh, we're good. You hope that he plays well and you like his experience and you like his locker room leadership. But if you can get a guy like Isabella at a good value, let's say with our late third round pick, what a great guy to put in that mix, to learn under him, to, have more juice, but a similar type player. I think that's what Bob Quinn likes to do a lot. He kind of has a prototype for a position or something he's looking for. And I think this guy looks and feels like Amendola, but just is way faster and had the crazy college production at a lower level school. So definitely on my radar. It just depends where you can get him. And don't think that we're just set at slot and outside receiver. A lot could happen between now and then. And you got to have depth at those spots, because you and me both know what's happened the last couple of years where a few injuries crop up and your boy TJ Jones is in doing absolutely nothing. And then at the end of the year, Andy Jones comes in and we're both like, who?
I just remember we made fun of it.
Who that is?
We were like, who's this guy? At training camp, we're like, who's this guy?
Yeah, like you've heard his name for 3 years, and then we finally saw him. We're like, oh, no. And then he gets out there and does a few things against Green Bay, and we're like, oh, that's Andy Jones. Okay. Yeah, I've seen enough of him. So, yeah, we still need to upgrade those positions. And Matt Stafford needs to make people better. I don't want to leave him off the hook either. So, Andy Isabella, yeah, definitely know his name and keep him on the radar.
Like Isabella all the way up in the third then? Late in the third?
Oh, yeah, I think that's where you have to get him. I wouldn't be surprised if he went at the bottom of the second, early third, and
Okay.
We're not picking till end of the third. So he's either going to probably be gone or, yeah, man, if you can get this guy in the fourth, that's a great value.
Okay. Well, let's put it this way. Say Isabella's gone, and the Lions are still looking for something like that. Here's a guy who's pretty similar, another small school guy. He's a little shorter, a little lighter, but still has good speed. And that's Penny Hart out of Georgia State. He's about 5'8", 180 pounds, runs a 4.4. Same thing, got good change of direction, good vision, good quick feet. Once again, him being a little shorter, a little smaller, he doesn't have a huge catch radius either. But would if Isabella was gone and the Lions went for Penny Hart, later, fourth, fifth, around sixth round, would you be okay with that, or would you just kind of scrap the decision at that point and move on?
I like Penny Hart. Again, he's a guy that got buzz, throughout the process. But this is a late guy to me. This is, like you said, fourth to me is too high. Fifth, sixth is kind of like if he's there, you're considering it if that spot is still needing to be filled. I don't know. I like him. I'm not like a huge fan. I think that he did really good throughout the process, so he has a lot of buzz. But I definitely have some other guys I'd like ahead of him, and there are some really good receivers both if you want a bigger outside type, depending on what might happen. Again, I don't want to trade Marvin Jones, but there's been a lot of talk about it. And if they keep him and they're looking for that inside guy, I'd be leaning more towards guys like Terry Godwin, Isabella, who we talked about, and you'd have to get Debo high. Those are guys that all interest me based on their skill set and stuff. But yeah, Penny Hart's a good late round flyer if you need it, and just depending sort of where he falls. Maybe he does go earlier. I don't know, but I think he's on the radar, but not like a target really.
Yeah, I have to agree with you at that. If it was one of those things like they missed on, if they went for Isabella, but somebody took him, early, like you said, and then they, Penny Hart, fell to him like in, I would say the 6th with this guy. I mean, I know size, him being a little slower, but even Georgia State, small school type thing, the talent level he played. Like you said, I know he's doing everything right now, looking good, but still, I would sixth is where I'm looking at this guy. So that's where I would be okay with it. Last one I want to throw at you is like we all realize once again tight end's position need. I know we signed James and Roberts is still on the team and young and really hasn't done a whole lot yet or hasn't had his breakout yet. But I remember this guy being recruited out of high school as well. He was down to a couple schools, one of them being Michigan. That's why I'm always going to remember this guy, and that's Isaac Nwata out of Georgia, the tight end. He was a big name guy. He was one of the top 3 tight ends in the nation when he came out, and I don't know what happened to him at Georgia. I thought he'd put up big numbers. I mean, he's a big boy, 6'3", 244. He's a good blocker. He's got really soft hands, can catch the ball. I just know one of the big knocks on him though was that he ran like a high 4.6 at the combine. So he might not have that breakaway speed, down the seam. He more of just like a red zone threat is the way I kind of look at him. But I just think he could be just a red zone threat that we're thinking Mike Roberts would be. But it might be a guy the Lions may be interested in for his size and catch it, being able to catch the ball. What do you think about this guy?
Hey Grifka, you remember what I said about corners that run 4.7?
Yeah, I got you. Feel the same way about tight ends that run 4.7?
I was about to say no, but when you asked me that, yep. This guy, I mean, I remember taking him in a few mock drafts, and then he showed up to the combine. And again, I know I always say the combine's not everything, but this guy like basically showed across the board that he almost like can't play in the NFL just based on athleticism and I don't know. His 40 was bad. All of his testing was bad. He looked bad. I just felt like he's almost off the board in regards to draftable talent on what I saw. I mean, yeah, he went to Georgia, and yeah, he had to me he looked like a big lumbering old blocking back, which if the Lions have a role for that, okay, maybe, but if you think you're going to get anything really in the pass game or anything extraordinary from this guy, I think he totally showed his colors. And I mean, this guy to me now is a late round flyer or undraftable is kind of where I have him.
Yeah, 7th round, I'm right there with you. Anything on this guy before the 7th round, I think you reached. And I know that sounds stupid, but I'm kind of with you on that. Yeah, he can catch the ball. He's got soft hands, and he's a good blocker. But I think one of those things, though, I don't think Matt Patricia looks for that slow plotting tight end. I mean, I think he wants somebody who can actually kind of move the chains, find the seam. I mean, I'm surprised they don't re-sign Levine Toilolo because, we might have found something in him. But, yeah, 7th round at best on this guy.
Real quick on tight ends. So, Grifka, I've been running all these mock drafts, and I feel like tight end is a tough one because I really don't have a good feel for Jesse James. I like the signing. I think that he's got great size, and there may be some good upside there. But I'm also fearful that he comes in here, as we've thought other guys. I remember there being a little bit of buzz around Luke Wilson. Oh, he knows the system. He can catch it and run, and he did absolutely nothing. So, I don't know what we have in Jesse James, but as I've been doing mock drafts, I've sort of been saying, okay, where can I get a tight end, but an athletic tight end? a kind of guy that can make plays on the football rather than like be all worried about blocking, and also not spending a high resource, in that first or even early second. Like if they go take a Irv Smith in the early second, I would understand why, because they need that type of tight end and type of player. But I've been looking like third, fourth round, where I've been getting Waring out of, I think he's out of San Diego State. He's got some really good size and athleticism. He was good at all the drills and kind of, has some upside there. Or this, what's his name? I think it's Knox out of, I don't have it right in front of me. I want to say he's either out of Tennessee or somewhere. It's big old tight end, kind of like that last tight end you can get before it sort of falls off the map as far as production and guys you can count on. So I think that's going to be important. Like when we look at the draft, like if you're going to add a tight end, you pretty much have to, because they only added Jesse James and I don't see them doing too much else. Like where do you get one at a good value that can make plays and isn't a stiff, and you don't avoid it at all. Like, how we went through drafts where like we're supposed to get a running back and then it's round 7 and we're like, why haven't we taken a running back yet? I think they're really going to have to find the sweet spot to get a guy in here that can do some things.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tight end is like one of those positions that, in college you can kind of dominate, but like you said, then when you go to like pro days and stuff, that's kind of where you show your colors. And like you said, Irv Smith in the second round, I could understand that, but there's definitely that step that you mentioned, that once the certain level's gone, it really falls off. And it's not a small step either. It's a cliff. So
yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
And the reason I bring it up is because like I'm coming your way a little bit, where like I sort of like tight ends because they do hurt, put pressure on the defense, but I only like them at good values, either paying them good amounts or getting a really freaky guy that's hard to deal with, or a really nasty blocker in the 4th round. I don't know. It's going to be tough. Like I say, who do you get and where do you get them is going to tell me if I love the pick or if I don't like it, because I think you can win Super Bowls without some amazing tight end.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of teams that win Super Bowls, even nowadays, teams that make the Super Bowl, that the tight end he's another guy. He's just the chain mover. It gets, targeted maybe 3-4 times a game, so.
And I know it sounds like double talk, but you've heard me talk about T.J. Hawkinson and how people hate it and they can't take him here. Like, I can see where he fits this team from blocking, catching, doing the things that we don't have. We don't have a player like him, so I could see why they'd add him. But I just think it's a tough pill to swallow that high. That's why I want to wait a little bit. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up about the tight ends, because every time I do a mock, the corner and the tight end are like the hardest one for me to plug in at a good value, where I walk away going, oh yeah, I love that. It's usually like corner in the 2nd and maybe like a tight end in the 4th would be my ideal scenario.
Yeah. Okay, well, I like covering those. I think I want to do maybe a few more of these, because, I mean, I know we always talk a lot about the high rounds, and you see a lot of buzz on like NFL Network, ESPN, about like those 1st round, 2nd round guys. But a lot of those late round guys that they might end up taking, they get drafted and people are like, who? So I think we may do a few more of these here and there, kind of cover some late guys that may fill positions in need for the Lions. So, it's guys that we can inform our listeners, if they don't get a chance to really go out there and look at, people being drafted or that are eligible for the draft, and we can, just spread a little knowledge on these guys. Just a quick, thumbnail, on them to say like, here, this is what the guy's good at. But, this is, height, weight, speed, so at least somebody has a little something on them. So when the name is called, that there's not like who's this guy? So
Grifka, normally the people love when I bang on you and make fun of you and tear you up. But here's a compliment. Good stuff, Grifka. You either put in a little bit of homework or you listen to my post-combine, post-Senior Bowl podcast by pulling some of those names and doing a little bit of reading up. So mad props to you. And anytime we can talk draft prospects, and on the show where you let me actually talk a little bit, I love it. So thank you, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, man, it might be one of our sets here. Maybe not be that many guys, but maybe just a couple names here and there. Late round guys that the Lions may be looking at. So might do that up till draft day. So I want to bring back this one. We haven't done one of these in a while, and I want to get your opinion on some stuff, and I want to bring back a would you rather. Now, would you rather? This has more like to do with like the questions I'm asking you is like more like home field schedule stuff like that. So, you ready to answer these few questions here really quick?
Let's do it.
Okay, so when it comes to the schedule, I know a lot of teams, don't like, having 3 road games in a row, and when we look at the schedule, we always look at the tough spots. But if you got the Lions schedule, would you rather have like a heavy home schedule early or a heavy home schedule late? You know what I'm saying? Like, would you rather get more road games out of the way early part of the season, or would you rather have more home games early part of the season?
Yeah, man, I got you. I think the fans overall, we've always, we're looking at those primetime games. We want games early where we can get off to a good lead. I think, with Matt Patton here, he said it multiple times. I mean, he wants to get this team ready for November, December, January, February type games. So if I got my choice, I'd love more home games, more important games towards the back half of the year when this team is revved up, when they're ready to go. And I think that's where they're going to have to make their impact. Winning games in the first couple months may get you off to a lead, but if you stumble down the stretches we have in the past, it doesn't mean anything. So spread them out, give us a good bye week, and yeah, let's load up on those big games at the back half of the year. Hope that we're healthy and go beat some teams here moving forward.
Okay. Just my quick take. Hey, get the ballot. I agree with you. I'd much rather, get your confidence, get your feet underneath you. If you win some of those early road games, it just leads you late. Like when you have a heavy home schedule late in the year. So I'm with you on that. Ford Field. Do you like that it's domed, or do you wish it was an outdoor stadium?
Now, Grifka, did you see the photo that prompted maybe a question like this, or did you just think of this one?
No, I was just kind of thinking the stadium itself, the atmosphere, like when me and you go there. I'm just wondering, because I know we have chatted about it before, and I know why teams tend to do that in northern areas, especially teams that, haven't been successful in the past and stuff like that. But then I think about Buffalo and, those weather games. But no, I just thought about this one.
Okay.
Would you rather have Ford Field domed or outdoors?
Well, the reason I asked if you saw the photo was because, man, I don't want to get this wrong, but I do kind of want to give the credit. I think I got it right. I think on Twitter, the Sandman, who's the guy, huge Lions fan that does all these crazy like slow motion highlight videos and all this other type of media stuff, which is great. But I think he took a screenshot of like one of the guys signing their contract, and in the very background, he circled and highlighted a little model Ford Field that has the retractable dome. It's like a mock-up, like you would have in a meeting of somebody saying like, this is what it could be like. Oh my gosh, Griffith, it looks sweet. Like I've been saying for years and years that I would love an outdoor stadium. I would love to be at a game either when the fall is, or I wouldn't even mind a big old snow game. You just feel like you're outdoors, feel like it's just more hype. Like I've been to a few other outdoor games, and it just feels a lot better than the staleness sometimes of Ford Field. I mean, Ford Field can get crazy with the crowd, but there's never been times like where I felt electricity like I have like at a night game outside when it's a little bit chill in the air. You got your hat, or it's sunny out, and you got your shades on, and you're rooting on your team. So this is definitely, I love Ford Field to get that retractable dome, or in a perfect world, would have been more football heavy, more so than corporate sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, once you can get the bell, I'm right there with you. Nothing beats, would be going to like a game in December where it's cold and snowy and we're all bundled up. Everybody's in the crowd and there's those morons without any shirts with Lions painted across their chest. Nothing beats seeing that. So, next question.
Hey, Griff, are you serious about that? Because I always felt like you were the guy, and you are the guy. Every time we go to the game, we can't get you off the first game of the year because you want the weather to be good. You want the team to be 0-0. Like, I don't see you getting whooped up for a game in December when blizzard outside.
No, I like going to the first game because it's the new year and everybody's hyped. I mean, games later. I've been to games later in the year when the team's been out of it, and it's oblique, and I mean, talk about a dead crowd. I mean, it's just they're not fun. So that's why I like the first game, because like it's like that everybody has hope. That's why I really like it. But that's why.
Well, Grifka, maybe stick with your team even when it's not going well, instead of like going to the first game because you're 0-0. How about you root them on when you're not playing so well? How about that?
I'm just talking atmosphere of the crowd at the stadium. When you have to admit, when the team's not doing so well, the atmosphere at the stadium is not as good.
Well, I know, but everybody's a part of that. So I would love to go to an outdoor game. We've been saying we should go to a Michigan game one of these days. I'd love to go to another outdoor game with everything on the line in Ann Arbor or something. Yeah. But yeah, man, we got the dome. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But you should check out that picture of the mock with the retractable. It looks really cool.
Okay. What about this one? Okay, so even if it was outdoors, would you prefer the natural grass or that artificial grass that a lot of stadiums even have? Like even outdoor stadiums have that artificial grass. Which one would you rather have?
Yeah, this is an easy one for me. I mean, wanting the outdoor stadium, wanting to have banners all over the place, and that football stadium feel. You still got to go with the field turf. I mean, you still got to have. Nobody wants that turf you see in Chicago or Washington where it's just falling off the ground and people are slipping and sliding. I mean, to me, that's not very fun football to watch, and it's not even because of the players or the weather. It's just because the turf is so terrible. Even in like Arizona, they got like the field they roll in, and it's always crappy, as we saw this last year with the Lions heading there. So yeah, just everybody go to the field turf, let these guys make plays, and inside, outside, it works fine. So it should be like a mandate by the league, I think.
See, I have to disagree with you on this one. I would have to go with the natural grass. Nothing beats when a game is sloppy and guys are just muddy and they're covered in dirt, and when they get when a quarterback gets sacked and that big lump of grass is stuck in his helmet. I love that. Last question. Now, if you own the team, any team, a pro football team, would you have a team fight song like the Lions have or like other teams have? Would you have one, or you just be like, no, those are cheesy, they're corny? Team fight song, yay or nay for a pro?
Oh, definitely. I don't know. I remember going to a Lions game in Washington, and I was blown away by how much cooler the Washington fight song was than ours. Just in regards to like the words, and it just seemed tougher and like way cooler. But like you say, everybody loves kind of chanting the Lions fight song. But I think it's cool, man. It's like a little throwback element that they keep even today, and it kind of depends which song you have and how it's played. But yeah, man, a badass kind of cool fight song that is playable in 2019 or back in the 50s, I think is awesome.
Okay. Yeah, like you said, I guess it depends on the song, because we know the lyrics to the Lions fight song, but you're right, there are teams that have better ones out there. But I do like the Lions fight song better than the Philadelphia Eagles one, that Fly Eagles Fly one. That one's pretty stupid. So
stupid because it's not ours. If we had that or the Redskins, we'd love it, because it is way better than some of the parts of ours the way it's played today. But I know he'll never listen to the podcast, but Grifka, there's nothing more fun than me sitting in my season ticket seats doing the fight song with Whitlow, the king of Detroit, barbershop all day, like giving people fresh fades. I mean, when that guy has his Lions mohawk, his beads, and he's up there chanting, I mean, that's good times. So shout out to Whitlow, one of the coolest dudes ever, and love to get rowdy up there in the season ticket seats when we're there. So that's a funny dude, and like you say, it's a part of what the Lions do, and we got to embrace it. So,
yeah. So, okay. Well, that's all I got. Nothing else really to cover for today. I know it's a good show. We covered a lot of stuff. Gave some people some information about some guys that may be there, on day 3, and they can look forward to. Anything else you want to cover before we get out of here?
Man, it's all good stuff, Grifka. I'm not going to steal your catchphrase, but this is the time of year, man. Free agency, you're heading towards the draft. These are when we want to talk Lions football. Lots going on, lots to get out on the table before we get to draft day. we talk a lot about afterwards when the fallout happens and what we thought. But there's nothing better than projecting forward and trying to see what our team might do. So, we're hitting you up Wednesdays and Fridays, but don't be surprised if you see some bonus shows pop up here and there. Either me solo, Grifka maybe doing a solo here or there, maybe us coming together for another mock draft here before you know it. But we're going to keep giving you that Detroit Kool-Aid, and we just thank everybody for listening. And, hey, man, before we head to next week, Grifka, you got anything else for the people?
Nope.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much. Drink that Detroit Kool-Aid. Our team putting it together, man. Really expecting a big year with Matt Pat at the helm in year 2, and Bobby Quinn trying to give him a lot of groceries and a lot of pieces to get this team together. So me and Grifka, we're super excited and looking forward to probably like T-minus 25 days or so until that draft will be right around the corner. So looking forward to that. So everybody have a great weekend. Check us back right here next Wednesday. We'll be coming to you with another Detroit Koolaid Cast. Take care, everybody.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.